Let's dive into an epic story. A story of kings, gods, and consequences so massive they literally carved an ocean into the face of the earth. This is a foundational myth about the incredible, destructive power of pride. And that really gets you thinking, right? How can the pride of just one family become a force so powerful, so destructive, that it literally creates a new feature on our planet? It sounds impossible, but we're about to see how 60,000 arrogant princes dug their own graves and an entire ocean. Now, you might be wondering where a story this wild even comes from. Well, this isn't just some fable. Our source is the Brahmanda Purana, one of the major collections of ancient Indian texts. This story is thousands of years old, passed down through countless generations. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off with a great and righteous king named Sagara. He was a ruler who had pretty much everything a king could possibly want. Well, except for one crucial thing. You see, even with two beloved queens, Kasini and Sumati, King Sagara was childless. He was desperate for heirs to carry on his dynasty. So he took his wives and retreated to the Himalayas to perform some seriously intense penance, all to ask a great sage for the gift of children. And his prayers were answered, but with a catch, a fateful choice. On one hand, Queen Kasini chose to have one single, virtuous son who would carry the family name with honor. But Queen Sumati, she went a different route. She asked for 60,000 sons, heroic and powerful, yes, but also dangerously arrogant. And with that one decision, the stage was set for both incredible glory and unthinkable tragedy. So you'd think the story of that one single son would be the safe one, right? The virtuous one? Well, this is where the story takes its first very dark turn. She gave birth to a prince named Asamanjas, but that whole virtuous part of the bargain, yeah, that went horribly wrong. From a young age, Asamanjas was a terror, a truly malevolent force in the kingdom his father was supposed to protect. And, listen to how the text describes his actions. This isn't just a spoiled brat. The Purana says he would literally grab the children of his own people and throw them into the river just to watch them drown. So what do you do if your own son, your only heir at the time, is a monster? Well, for King Sagara, a man of justice, the choice was agonizing, but it was clear. He put his duty to his people first. In an incredible act of justice, he disowned his own son and banished him from the kingdom forever. With Asamanjas gone, King Sagara's hopes now rested on his other 60,000 sons. So he decided to perform a massive ritual to prove his power over the whole world. A ritual that would kick off a truly unstoppable chain of events. This ritual was called the Ashwamedha Yajna, and basically it's the ultimate power move for an ancient king. You take this special, consecrated horse and just let it wander free for a whole year. If it walked through another kingdom and nobody stopped it, that land was now yours. But if someone did stop the horse, that was a declaration of war. So, Sagara's horse starts wandering, and no king dares to challenge it. His power is growing and growing. But it grows so much that the gods start to get a little nervous. So the king of the gods, Indra, decides to throw a wrench in the works. He disguises himself, snatches the horse, and hides it deep in the underworld. Stealing that sacred horse? That was a massive insult, and King Sagara was absolutely furious. He ordered his 60,000 sons to find that horse, no matter what it took. And what comes next isn't just a search party, it's a full-on assault on the planet itself. Just let that number sink in for a second. 60,000 princes. This isn't a regular army. These are 60,000 royal sons, all sharing the same fiery pride and determination, an absolutely unimaginable force about to be unleashed. When they couldn't find the horse on the surface, did they stop and think? Nope. They just started digging, and they tore into the earth with a rage, destroying everything, forests, mountains, any living creature that got in their way. Their mission became a brutal rampage. The sheer scale of this is just staggering. They dug and dug, deeper and deeper, carving a chasm so huge that it would eventually become the ocean. In fact, the Sanskrit word for ocean, Sagara, is named right after their father. The ocean itself is a permanent monument to his son's destructive pride. So, after carving their way into the very guts of the earth, the sons were finally about to reach the end of their violent quest. But the ending? Oh, it was not what any of them could have ever imagined. And then, there it was. In this subterranean realm, they finally saw it, the sacred horse, just grazing peacefully. For a moment, it must have felt like victory was finally theirs.
But they found the horse, yes? They just weren't alone down there.
Standing near the horse was the great sage Kapila, an incarnation of the god Vishnu himself. And he'd been meditating in this spot for ages, completely unaware of the absolute chaos the princes had brought right to his doorstep. So, do the sons pause? Do they wonder who this immensely powerful-looking person is? Of course not. Blinded by that all-consuming pride, they immediately assume he's the thief. They scream insults, raise their weapons, and charge. It was their final, fatal mistake. The sage was disturbed from an eons-long meditation. He didn't raise a weapon. He didn't shout a curse. He simply opened his eyes. And as Kapila's eyes opened, a torrent of divine fire erupted from his gaze. In a single, silent, cataclysmic moment, the 60,000 proud, loud, destructive sons of Sagara were incinerated, reduced to nothing but a massive pile of ash. Just like that, the pride that was strong enough to carve an ocean was vaporized by a single glance. It's a stunning end. But in these kinds of myths, is any end really final? Their arrogance turned them to ash, sure, but that very same ash sets the stage for a whole other epic tale, the story of bringing the river goddess Ganga down from the heavens to purify them. But that is a story for another day.